Hi, I'm Tim Colbago, CEO of ImageIQ, with a few ways to validate the imaging software used in your clinical trial. Now, during your trial, your radiologist will be making a lot of measurements, and you want to make sure that your imaging software is validated appropriately. Now, your software may be validated by the vendor, but not necessarily for the measures and intended use for your specific study. So, we're going to cover a number of things that will help you have a smoother regulatory experience and increase your confidence in your imaging measurements. Now, for standard measurements like distances or areas or angles, the first and very straightforward thing you can do is make sure that all of your radiologists are using the same version of software and that you document that software version in your records. Now, it's also critical to make sure that your radiologists are performing the measurements in the same way, because today, often there are many ways to accomplish the same measurement with the software they're using. Now, when using a non-standard technique where a new piece of software has been developed specifically for your trial, ask your radiology team or the team doing your analysis to provide you with any and all academic references to the techniques. Those could be references from a paper presented at RSNA, published by ACR, or any other number of professional or academic organizations. You'll find your conversations with the FDA go much more smoothly if you have those references documented in your trial report. Next, ensure that all the scanners you're using in the trial at all your sites can acquire the images with the appropriate characteristics so that your analysis can be reliably run. And, just a reminder, make sure you document the scanner make, model, and software version number. Also, it's considered a best practice to have the training records and credentials of your radiology team that reflect their expertise in using the software for the anatomy or pathology of your study. This is especially important if they're using one of those non-standard techniques we talked about. Certainly, everyone trusts their imaging core lab, but you want to make sure you've closed that training record last loop. Now, finally, and maybe the most important thing you can do to bring this all together, is to take the time to ask your radiology group to validate the software for your specific use. That can be done with any number of approaches, but the best one we recommend is to have them scan a phantom. There are all sorts of phantoms available, different sizes, shapes, and densities. So get a phantom that best matches your study. Have the team perform measurements on the phantom so that you have the appropriate evidence to prove that the techniques and measurements being done match the physical characteristics of the phantom. Executing on these steps will ensure that your imaging data is documented, it's accurate, and most importantly, acceptable to a regulatory agency because you took the time to perform a rock-solid validation.
If you would like to learn more about imaging in clinical trials, join us for the next ImageIQ webinar on November 7th at 11 Eastern. Sandy Maddox, CEO from iMark Research, will be our guest to discuss the compliance challenges that are presented when imaging is introduced into your trial. Hope to see you online in November.